Alright, so there's no certainty that this is going to stay, but I really want to do a video blog because it's September 2019, and I've gone this whole year without putting out a blog, and there's a lot that's been going down. Beyond just music stuff too, you know, you guys know if you've been following the channel for a long time, I like to talk about more than just the music. I like to talk about life. I like to talk about what's happening in the chapter that I'm in. And for a lot of people, I've realized, you know, especially now that we've moved so much, there are a lot of people that, unless you are constantly on social media, you probably don't know exactly what's going on in my life. And so, in light of all of that, I just really feel the need. And also, too, I'm working on a project that I haven't really talked about much, and I want to kind of update on that as well. So, a lot of reasons to kind of make this thing, and the only reason I'm making it now, it's literally like 11:30 at night, and you know I have things to do in the morning. Tomorrow's gonna be pretty busy, but regardless, I just feel compelled to do this because again, it's been so long. The last one I put up was April last year, and again that's another reason why I'm making it now is because I was watching the blog from last April, and I just realized how little I've talked about, you know, the end of 2019, the end of 2018. There's a lot to fill in. So I'm gonna try to do my best today to do that. Again, it's late. I don't usually do blogs this late. Everybody else is going to sleep. So there's a lot to talk about. I'm gonna try to do my best to get through all the important things, and then we'll kind of go from there. So to pick it back up from April. And I talked about this a little bit in that last blog, but in that season, and I can actually really fondly remember it, I was kind of stuck because I was working on Genesis and, you know, trying to get things set in motion for the fall because I was planning to put the project out in the fall or like the late summer. But I had that thing, it's, you know, springtime for me is often kind of a rough period of time because, I don't know, something about like the momentum of the end of the year kind of wears off, and like you jump into the springtime and you kind of get hit with like, I don't know, for me anyway, it's like, and just speaking for 2018, I kind of got to a place where I felt like I didn't have enough space in my schedule to do much. I talked about this too in the blog. I was like, you know, and I was talking to my friend from school, the girl that I, you know, kind of was inspired to write that song about. We talked about the fact that like, I just, you know, outside of, you know, school and work and music, I really didn't have much of a life, and I really felt that becoming a burden on me. And so during the summer, man, I really took time and even like, so I didn't talk about this in that blog, but like, or maybe I did, but in 2018, like January-ish, I started going through counseling again. And so one of the things that me and my counselor talked about was that very conversation I had with the girl. What did I say I would call her? It was Lucy, I think. I called her like Lucy in the last blog. But anyway, so Lucy, I had the conversation with my counselor about what we talked about, and I was like, I feel like, you know, I've been sharing with you my feeling of like, dude, I really want to embrace a community. I really want to grow like in relationship with people, and I feel like I don't have the time nor the space nor the push to really jump into this the way I feel like I ought to. And so he was like, hey man, you know, I think one of the things he said to do is to start small, you know, start with one conversation, meet with one person, put something down on the calendar, you know, and just watch as those things multiply. And so I spent the summer of 2018 kind of doing that, you know, between the videos. Like, again, I didn't put a blog out then, so like I was making videos all the time. Like I was doing all those making of Genesis videos of like just the process of creating the project and sharing that. Picking up traction with that, and then like, you know, as we approached August, you know, as the school year was approaching, just continued that same, just putting out content. And around that time too, I was meeting with my church's young adults men's group. We were going through a book by one of our pastors at the church I go to, and that was a source of like community and growth in that realm. And so, and all that, I mean, for me, everything is inclusive. That's why I even do the blogs the way I do them, because what I'm talking about life finds its way into the music, and it trickles into it in some way. So I like to share about everything. And so, that definitely was impactful, and just, yeah, beginning to break down the barriers of like, I don't want to talk about this, I don't want to bring this up, you know. I talked a lot about my frustrations at my job. Like, I brought that up a lot at men's group. Just how I was just feeling like, you know, my managers were not really getting me. They were, you know, they weren't respecting what I wanted and stuff. Like, you know, since that season, things have improved for sure, praise God. But yeah, that was my first time really getting transparent about some of the things I deal with amongst a group of guys. And so that was powerful. And again, it found its way into the music. The song Genesis really kind of voiced, I think, a lot of the feelings I had in that 2018, you know, middle up to the end of the year type of mood. And so, yeah, so towards August, again, I wrapped up the project, Genesis. I put all the songs together, put it out, promoted it as best I could, social media, just going every day, trying to get people to listen and check it out. Got it on, you know, Spotify and Apple Music, Tidal, so it was accessible to everybody. And I got some good responses, dude. Again, the girl, Lucy, who I had a crush on, you know, in college, like, she told me, you know, we had a conversation. Oh, I gotta talk about this. Because we ended up, it's funny. So again, going back to August, we ended up in the same class, dude. Like, and it was a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, you know, and it was a class on Edgar Allan Poe. And it was an advanced literature class for my English minor. And yeah, the first day I showed up on campus, I ran into her, and I was like, yo, she's going the same direction I'm going. And then come to find out, we got the same class, because she was an English major. But that just had my mind blown too, because I was like, dude, at this time I still really had a crush on her. So I was like, dude, like, what? You know, we're in the same class. This girl's gonna be the one, bro. She's like, this is my wife right here. Not really, but I was thinking that stuff. I was like, God, what are you trying to tell me, man? Like, what's this about? Like, you know, we got the same class. This is a girl I literally ran into on my sophomore year of college. I had no clue, you know, who she was, what she was about, if she even really had a good heart. And, you know, praise God she does, and she's a great person, like, awesome, smart, intelligent woman. But yeah, at the time I was like, dude, and then like, what are the odds that like, not only do we get to know each other, but, you know, we're gonna be in the same class Monday, Wednesday, Friday for this semester. So that was wild, man. And the first couple weeks of class, I couldn't even focus, man. I was just like, oh my gosh, she's like right there. You know, she was sitting in the table in front of me. I was like, dude, what the heck is this? So that was nuts. But I got way off on that tangent. But basically, yeah, so again, I brought a lot of the momentum of Genesis into my senior year of college, and I approached senior year, and I was like, dude, I just want to do everything that I've wanted to do these past couple years. I want to perform. I want to set this thing up. I auditioned actually to do the showcase series at my school. Belmont has an annual showcase series where they have different genres of people, students that perform, and you like form a band. You get your, you know, and it can, you know, the genres vary. So sometimes the band can be smaller or larger, but you need at least, I think, 2 or 3 people, including yourself, and like, I think 3 out of 5 of them have to be Belmont students. And so I went to work, you know, through August and September. I was really busy trying to pull together the team, because my plan ideally was to, like, you know, get a set list of all like my favorite songs from Genesis and perform them, you know, for the audience. And I felt like, I was like, dude, if I do that and if I win the showcase, like, that's gonna be a huge like publicity, like getting the music out there, getting support raised, building an audience at my school. I was like, dude, that would just be a total win. And so I went about it. I got, you know, there was a guy at my job that I was going to have do bass. There were like 3 students I got connected to. One was going to play guitar. The other was going to be on drums. I had, I was going to do keyboard in addition to rapping and all that. So, man, I had a plan, dude. I rented out a trumpet because I was going to play, I was gonna do a cover of Luxury by John Bellion. And if you heard that song, you know that there's a trumpet solo, or not solo, but there's a trumpet part on it that's kind of like the main part of the chorus. And I was gonna pause from rapping and play that trumpet part, but basically, I'm gonna get to the point. it didn't work out. I sent my audition with all the information. I think the reason why my application got rejected was just because I neglected to fill out a certain part of the application connected to the cover song. So with Luxury, like I think I was supposed to put in like something about like could you send a link or something to the artist's page or something like that, something really small, like a really small detail that they needed, and I think I forgot to put it in, and so that's probably why they didn't accept my application, because I was like, dude, like, and I even knew the guy that was over the showcase series. I was like, I know this dude's gonna be down for hip-hop, and this positive hip-hop, it's Christ-centered hip-hop, like why would they not be down for this? So again, I'm convinced that it was just because I didn't fill the application out completely, but and yeah, I was disappointed, dude. I talked to my counselor about that. I was like, yeah, to be straight up, like, it was disappointing. I got these guys together. We were planning out rehearsals. Like, we were going to get together and rehearse these songs. I had all this, I wrote out the music. Like, I made a score, like, for the first time. Like, yeah, man, it was real. And then, like, to not have it play out was like, man. But the lesson I guess I learned from that was, one, I'm capable of doing that work. Like, I can actually bring people together for musical, like, stuff like that, And again, I've read it as, it's not I wasn't good enough, it's I probably didn't get that application straight. So, and two, the workload, man, where's my calendar? Because October was nuts. I don't have my 2018 calendar on me, but like, yeah, October, man, was nuts. Like, I just had that was midterm season, so I had a bunch of essays to write, had a lot of readings. Yeah, and yeah, so like if I had been able to do the showcase, it probably would have been too much, and I wouldn't have graduated. I wouldn't have graduated with honors, and I wouldn't have gotten all A's that semester. So I guess it worked out for the better. But yeah, there's still a part of me that's like, dude, I really would have loved to just light up that stage, man, because I was pumped, dude. I was so excited. I was practicing performing in this room, actually, just getting all the sound system together, playing out the parts. I made covers versions of like all the things we were gonna do. I had different versions to send each artist and each musician, so they knew what they needed to do. Just the setup, like getting everything in place, was a really, really cool experience for me. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be, and I'm cool with that. So yeah, that was like the first half of the semester. The second half is when I kind of shifted towards the project that came to be the next major release after Genesis, which was the Christmas tape. And I kind of talked about that a little bit in the making of the Christmas tape video. But yeah, that was really, really unique. So the story behind it, in October actually, I picked up this Stanton CMP turntable. And yeah, man, I kind of vaguely knew what it was, but I wasn't totally aware of all that it could do. And so, yeah, the day I got it from the pawn shop, dude, I was just, popping CDs in and sampling and messing with the pitch controller, and like, yeah, it was fun, and it's what ultimately introduced me to sampling, like actual old school sampling. And so when I got that joint, and just from like, because another thing I did in October-ish was I started doing and this is funny, I had a copyright law class. And in that class, our teacher would always start the class off with like a lo-fi. It's that, generic lo-fi YouTube ongoing live stream that they do. I think it's like Chilled Cow or something does it. He would play that same video every time we'd start class. And so I was curious, and I started looking into lo-fi, lo-fi music, lo-fi playlists. And I came across this video. It was like a lo-fi Christmas compilation beats, yeah, that were Christmas themed, and one of the producers that came up was JK47, who is this producer based out of Kentucky, I think Lexington, Kentucky, and he had this MPC 500, which, his video and what he does and like has done, and like, yeah, it inspired me. So in November I picked this joint up and just went to work the same way with the CMP. I just went to work, man. Like, and I have so many different, I have like a highlight reel on my Instagram of just all the different times I was experimenting with just different songs. it really opened my eyes to like a whole nother level of music, like music and musicianship. And so right around early November, I made my mind up. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make this thing called the Christmas tape. And I know it's late, like it's, like it's usually you start these things in like, August, September, and then, by the time November comes and like Thanksgiving's over, you release it. But I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it anyway. And so I kept people updated. Like I did so many like Instagram stories of me just making beats. Again, similar to Genesis, I just really kind of invited that whole experience and just keeping people in the loop with my creative process. It really kind of garnered that audience again. Like it got people that didn't even really know I was into music like that. Like they were getting on my page and like doing like, yo man, like this is really cool stuff. Like you actually, like some people just do it. You actually do it well, and you know what you're doing. You get good, like you find good samples and you create good beats out of these things. So I was just like invigorated, and I was like, yo, let's keep moving. So yeah, I put out the Christmas tape. It was 9 songs, all Christmas themed. I think the one I'm most proud of is either the Christmas song one by Nat King Cole, or the Lonely Christmas one that I did. It's like it was a mesh of Lonely by Bobby Vinton and This Christmas by Donny Hathaway, I think. Yeah. That's probably the one I'm most proud of. But yeah, so that record was so much fun to make, and I put it out 3 days before Christmas dropped. Before Christmas Day. And yeah, dude, it was just fun. I look back, that was probably that record honestly was like the most fun I've had making a project since The Storm, which again, that was 2011. So like it just brought me back to a place of like, yeah, I don't do this just to get, like I'm not just doing this to make excellent art. I'm doing it to have fun. And I really felt the fun nature of music making on that project. So I'm still planning to do a volume 2 this year, but it's already September and I haven't really started anything yet. And I'm gotta get into this later, but I'm working on Passion still, and I'm trying to really get that done. So I made an agreement where I said I'm not gonna pull another Genesis where I take a break from Passion to do something else. I'm gonna get Passion done, and then we'll get to the next project, whatever that is. But yeah, so I dropped it December 22nd, and then that whole week was nuts because we had, that 22nd was I think a Saturday, and so I dropped it on a Saturday. Then Sunday, I think we had like Christmas. No, it was like a service, the service before the Christmas Eve services. So it was like, and I think I even helped out with that service. So we had that, and then during the week we had the Christmas Eve services for church, which I helped out with, and that was like 5 services over the course of 2 days, and so I was really tired. And then right after that I had Impact, which was like, because Impact takes place right after Christmas Day, basically. You have like 2 or 3 days to rest, and then you're on the plane or on the drive on the road to get to Impact in Atlanta. And so I think I've talked about this before, but Impact is just a Christian conference primarily for people of color to feel at home, to be poured into by men and women, generally in leadership roles in the church, in society, in the culture. And it's just, they aim for college age kids, but like people in their 20s can come through. It's just, it's a great opportunity. And so I went before in 2016, and that's why I think I talked about it in the last blog I did, like the first blog on this channel. I went in 2016. That was my first time going, and then I went this time and saw some familiar faces. Had a really good time, dude. It was fun. I'm trying to think what was the big difference. Well, so one thing that I found to be quite different this time around was that the last time I went to Impact, again, it's typical of most Christian conferences where you just get so charged with spiritual energy and like you feel so compelled to just like go out and do things and be like actively in different ministry opportunities and just really shaping the culture for the sake of the gospel. And you're all around guys and girls of color that are all like really passionate about scripture and about Jesus. and you just get so filled, and then you go home and it's like, oh, I wish I could have taken what was there and bring it with me. And it was harder for me both times because, you know, I went by myself. I didn't go. A lot of people go as like a church, like, you know, church college groups go, or college groups go, like they're, you know, chapters of the Impact Conference, of the Impact movement at different universities around the country. And so they'll bring their kids together and like ride a bus down. I didn't have that experience, and so coming back home, it's like, man, like I know. And this particular trip, I was like, you know, I came home and I was like, dude, I want to start a chapter at my school. I want to start an Impact chapter at Belmont. And I started an Instagram channel, an Instagram page, a YouTube channel. I was really serious, man. And I started going to BSA more often, like Black Student Association. Tried to get involved with the ministry people there and the people that were over it. And I think one thing that I came up against was just the difficulty of doing something like that on your own. I was the only one that went to the conference, and so I can describe what happened and like what I learned and how it is, but like nobody, you had to be there to really understand the energy and the mission. And so just trying to convey that, and then, you know me, man, I'm a pretty low key. I'm not a really sociable kind of guy, and you kind of need a lot of good social skills to kind of get people to rally behind something like that. So ultimately, it didn't really materialize. It didn't really take shape, but I learned a lot. I learned the do's and don'ts. One don't is just isolate yourself, or like, you gotta get outside your comfort zone, man. Like you gotta be okay with it not moving as fast as you want. Because that's one of the things I struggle with too, is like I wanted results overnight. There was a worship night that the BSA had, and I was planning to go to it, but I had to work that night. And so I was like, and so then then there were other opportunities to do things. And one of the BSA meetings, I shared that, hey, I'm trying to get a ministry started out of BSA called Impact, and like if you guys want to be involved and help, let me know. Like, let's do this thing. I got onto the group chat, the GroupMe account chat, and again, just like, dude, let's go, let's do this for real, like let's move. And again, it's just like getting hit with the reality that like, yo, this thing is gonna take a lot of time and a lot of work. It's not impossible, and even to this day, I'm like, maybe that'll still happen, but it's gonna take, God's hand to really make it materialize. And I'm not even on campus much anymore now, so it's like, again, he'd have to really move some pieces in place to make it work. But I trust him, so maybe someday. I just felt a burden when I went to Impact. I was like, dude, like my brothers and sisters on campus, like they need this. They need, if nothing else, just the conference itself. Like they need to be at something like this where they don't feel like the only black kid in the room or the only black kid, in the church. Because that's the thing, most of the on-campus ministries are predominantly white, and that's not a bad thing, but like, man, like I'll speak for my people, like we kind of get tired of being that token black person, that has to assimilate, that has to code switch to feel comfortable enough to be, in a group like that, in a context like that. And I just, again, when I went to Impact, I was like, dude, I really wish my brothers and sisters could be a part of this, because I know they've been yearning for this kind of community. But yeah, so, and I could go on and on about that. I got to keep moving, because again, we're only this is like up to January 2019, so we're just now getting into this year. Because one of the big things of Impact is it leads up to January 1st. Like the last day generally is January 1st. And so they have a big New Year's Day celebration where we pray, we worship, and we worship our way into the new year. And so that's how I started my year this year. I just surrounded by black people just going ham for Jesus, man. And it was legit. And I was so happy. And it was great. Yeah. And I'll say this too. One of the things I wrestled with the first time at Impact was just feeling like, I'm a part of the group. Like, I've always wrestled in black communities, dude, with just like my skin tone and my having grown up in a predominantly white society. Like, I don't feel sometimes like, I have the credibility to really be in the black conversation, because I'm like, man, I didn't grow up in the typical or like the usual black context that you're used to, like, predominantly black community where there's a lot of, crime and, all that stuff. Like I didn't grow up in that element, so like how can I contribute to this conversation? How can I, be, I don't know, I've always wrestled with that. And so to going the first time to Impact, that was something I felt and was thought about, and just it was brought to my attention. But this time around, I was just like, yo, I'm here, and I know who I am. I know I'm a fully black individual. Both my parents are black. Our roots are black. Like I don't have any shame. And if people feel a certain way about me just because of the way I look, whatever. So I walked in with integrity, and it really, it ultimately, that was one of the big things that kind of put the experience above the last one. So yeah, and I still keep in touch with the people there. I'm still passionate about trying to start a chapter. It's just gonna take some time. So we'll see. But yeah, like I said, that brought me up to January 1st. And so January 1st, I gotta be careful with this because I haven't really shared much about this yet. Oh man, oh crap, I gotta talk about something else. It's getting late too. It's past midnight. I'm getting tired. So again, I gotta go back to December because the girl that I talked about in the last blog, we had a conversation at the end of the semester. It was before I went to Impact, before the Christmas tape dropped. It was literally the day of a final, because we had our English, our Edgar Allan Poe final, where we had to it was basically a seminar. You wrote a seminar essay and you had to present it to the class for the final. And so we had our time, and that night I stayed up all night the previous night to write the essay. And so I did, yeah, and I came into class that was my first all-nighter in college. And so I showed the class like kind of like how I feel right now, just like, dude, oh my gosh, all right, here's my findings, and I talked through what I wrote about, it was actually a really good essay, and it was so good that my professor actually had me present it to our symposium, our university's English symposium. It was like a liberal arts thing we did, and so he invited me and some other people from the class, like 2 other people from the class, to present our essays. Anyway, that's besides the point. I released my findings, she did hers, and like the rest of the class did theirs. And I was determined that day because I was like, dude, this is it. Like, if I don't share what I need to share, because at the time I was still really crushing on her. So I was like, dude, I gotta tell her that, hey, I know I wrote this song and it was kind of metaphorical, but now that I've actually gotten to know you more, I really do like you a lot. And so I was like, all right, God, I gotta do this. I gotta tell this girl how I feel. And so the opportunity kind of came after the class, and we spoke, but it didn't go anywhere just because I was so afraid of like knocking on that door and opening that way for the conversation to go that way. And so I let her slide. Like I let her walk away, and I was just like, ah. And so I walked away from her, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like cursing myself out and stuff. I was like, oh, I can't change. I'm just as like scared and messed up, and just like as fearful, as I was back in high school with the other girl I was into. Like, nothing's changed. I'm the same guy. I'm never gonna get over this. And so then I was like, okay, fine. Here's what I'll do. I'll message her, and if she responds and says that we can meet, then I'll then share what's on my heart to share, and we'll go from there. And so right before I left campus, I was like, all right, let me send this text. And I sent it, and she didn't respond until I was back in Franklin. And so I was in Walmart. I'll never forget this. I was in Walmart in Franklin, got the text, and she was like, because I was like, hey Lucy, there's some things that I feel like I haven't really been honest with you about this semester, and I really want to I was hoping to share it with you today and just kind of get it off my chest, but I missed the opportunity. Do you have any time today? I know you have other finals, but do you have any other time today to like talk about this stuff? I just need 5 minutes. I put that in the text. And she was like, oh my gosh, wow. And when she responded, she was like, oh my gosh, wow, yeah, well, what'd she say? One of my finals got canceled or something like that, so I have like this amount of time available if you want to still get together. And so I was like, bet. So I got in the car, rolled right back up the highway, and I was like, all right, we're going to do this. Like, I got to do this, bro. And so I met up with her, and again, crazy, because I met up and talked with her in the same building that I first saw her in, the building that, like, we, you know, I didn't meet her, but I saw her, and I was like, yo, this girl is gorgeous, and that's what inspired me to write the song. So we met up in the same spot. She was eating Chick-fil-A, and I came in, and I was like, hey, what's up? And so we just kind of talked a little bit, you know, just basic icebreaker stuff, like, yeah, hey, you know, how things been? How do you think your seminar paper thing went? And then finally it got quiet, and I was like, all right, so here's what I got to say. And I was like, look, you know, man, I can't remember exactly how I got it out, but ultimately I was like, yo, you know, again, I just, at the time I thought, yo, this is just, you know, it's just a song. You know, I was just inspired in the moment. It's nothing more than that. You know, she's just a good friend. But now that I've gotten to know you more, and we've had the same class, and, you know, we've been growing to get to know each other more, I've just really become, like, I just admire you a lot. You know, I admire you. I like you. I like what you're about. I love the way you know, how, like, you're creative, and you're smart, you're funny, and, you know, you spend time with kids and stuff, and like that, all is stuff that really I admire, and I admire you. And so I just want to know, you know, would you be open to possibly starting a relationship like that? And so she was like, hey, thanks for your honesty, like, I really appreciate that. I'm glad you know, shared this. It really means a lot to me, but I'm actually seeing somebody at the moment. So I was like, you know, part of me, I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, because ultimately, though, I have my goal was just to get it off my chest. I was like, dude, if I just share this with her, like, regardless of if she's down with it or not, like, at least I got it out and I did my part. So at that point, I was like, hey, I put forth what I felt compelled to put forth. Whatever she does with it, that's up to her, and I'm cool with it. And so, again, you know, she was like, cool, like, you know, thank you so much, but yeah, I'm seeing somebody. And another thing she said that really, like, built and, like, I felt had a lot of respect for her was just, she was like, man, Kaylin, like, I know you know, you've only seen certain parts of me, and I you know, I know that you really value your faith, and that's something that's really important to you and central to you. I'm not really a Christian. I don't go to church regularly, and you know, I party a lot. I do drugs sometimes, and so I'm not even sure if we would really be that compatible. And I think you know, ultimately, the impression I got, she didn't say this in particular, but I think the impression I got was, hey, like, I think you deserve better. Which I was like, man, again, mad respect. I was like, dude, like, you didn't even have to go there. Like, the fact that you said you were seeing somebody, that was enough for me. I didn't need to know, you know, that that's where you were at. But yeah, she said that, and I was like, wow, well, cool. So we went from there. We just chatted about, like, what we had going on for Christmas break. And, you know, I got up and hugged her, and yeah, dude, that, again, she's one of, like, I don't like throwing the L word around, but, like, that, like, she's special, man. I really, really, still to this day, like, the impact she's had on my life, because that conversation just was like a monumental moment in my life where I was like, dude, I actually shared my emotions and feelings with somebody else that I was into. You know, I didn't repeat the same situation that happened in high school with that one girl. Like, you know, I didn't do that again. Like, I actually came forward with it, and we're gonna walk away from this and still be good friends. Like, that's beautiful to me. So that was huge, man. And so, yeah, like I said, between releasing Genesis, having that conversation with the girl, going to Impact, I ended 2018 on, like, a super, super duper high. And I was just like, dude, man, it can't get better than this. And so, yeah, I came into the spring with that same ammunition. And this is why I talked about January 1st, because when we came back home after January 1st, when I came home from Impact, the first day this year, there were some friends of ours that were in town. And again, I'm really trying to be vague because I haven't really told many people about this. But some friends of ours came back, and they were like, yeah, they go to college out of state, and so, but these are like longtime friends of our family, and they're all girls. And so they came just to kind of visit, you know, and they came to hang out, and they were talking to my parents, and, like, I had no idea they were going to be there when I got there. But yeah, they were there, and yeah, so I just got a vibe from one of the girls that was there, dude. Like, we've known them, like, I've known her and her family my whole life. And mind you, this was a point, because after Lucy, I was just like, you know what, man? Like, I can actually confidently say, for the first time in my life, I am, like, fully content in my singleness. Like, I don't really want anything. I don't want anybody. I'm just cool riding solo. And so I said, God, you know, hey, like, let's do this. Like, I don't really care. You know, I believe you have my best interests at heart. And so let's just ride. And so at that point, I was like, dude, you know, let's just see what happens. And so, yeah, the first day of the year coming back from Impact, again, and there was a couple of things that played into it. One, when I was at Impact, one of the themes that kind of came up a lot was the men, you know, the men of authority were like, guys, don't forget about your women, the women of your bloodline, like the women of color that have often gotten left behind or left in the cracks. Like, you guys, a lot of these, you know, guys of color, like, going to other races to find suitable partners, but don't forget about the women in your own race, because they are treasures if you really get to know, like, and really get to experience that. And I felt convicted in that, dude, because both Lucy and the girl that I was into in high school were both white girls. And I've even built up a kind of a notorious reputation with my parents and my family of just always being into white girls. Like, even my aunt, she was like, I think Caitlin's gonna find himself a white girl, nice little white girl, and he's gonna marry her. And so I was like, man, dang. So, and nothing against, again, I'm not being racist, I hope. My point is, I think it's wrong to just, you know, say that, hey, that's just not me. You know, I don't want to be with that race or whatever, especially when it's of your own kind. So I felt convicted, because a lot of times I often do kind of, you know, lean more towards people, the girls of you know, the Anglo-Saxon ethnic group. And so, yeah, like, all that's to say, you know, the girls that were at the house when I came home from Impact, they were girls of color, you know. And one of them, like I said, I was like, dude, I you know, back in September, I gotta go back. I gotta do this. Back in September, again, when I talked to my counselor about, like, how am I gonna begin to really break down some barriers in my life, one of the things my counselor said was, hey, you need to go, just start meeting with people, start getting in, you know, allowing other people into your life, let other people get to know you and really know you deeply. And as uncomfortable as it is, that's the only way you're gonna grow. And so I started meeting with people, and one of the groups of people I met was this girl and her sister. They were in town from college, because at the time there was, like, hurricane stuff going on where they were at school, and so they were back in town as a result, just hanging out. And so we had coffee, and I just got to shoot the breeze with them. I hadn't talked to them in a long time, dude, because, you know, we've moved so much. Again, I've known them my whole life, but we've moved so much that it was like, yeah, I just haven't got to see you guys as much. So we did coffee, we talked, and yeah, it's funny, because at that time I was like, dude, I don't really know, because I was like, I think I might still have a little something, like, I still might like this girl a little bit. But we had that conversation, you know, with her and her sister, and I was like, you know, they're like family, dude. I've known them my whole life. They're like family. She's more like a sister or a cousin to me now than, like, somebody I could see myself being romantically interested in. And so I just kind of put that stuff to the side, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then again, you know, the school year started, and I was back into Lucy again, and so I was like, yeah, whatever, you know, forget it, we're just gonna go this direction. But then again, I came back from Impact, and I was like, dude, I just, you know, for one, I want to really invest in the girls of color. Two, I really feel like, you know, contentment is something I need to you know, begin to cultivate, just a place of contentment, feeling like, you know what, I'm content being just me and, you know, God, and that's all I need right now. And so, yeah, so, like, we met up, like, they came to the house that one day, and I was just like, you know what, dude? And even in that time, she talked about the time we met back in September, and she was like, dude, like, when Caitlin said that, it really made me think, like, yeah, we, you know, we're adults now. We have to, because the thing I'd said at the time we were at coffee was, like, it's kind of on us now that, you know, because our parents all knew each other back in the day. and now we're adults ourselves, and it's like if we're gonna keep these relationships going, it's kind of up to us. Our parents are gonna keep meeting, but we're not like the kids who get to tag along like we used to. We're in our own circles. We're our own people now. And so she brought that up, and she was like, yeah, that really meant a lot to me, and it spoke to me, and I was really compelled to think about that deeply. And so I just got an impression from that day, dude. I was like, you know what, dude, I think I might still be into her, and for good reason. I think she, maybe this person that I've known almost my entire life, maybe she's the one. I don't know. And again, even to this day, I'm not so certain, but I don't know, dude. But there've been some weird things happening recently where it's like, kind of guy just kind of taps on your shoulder and shows you things, and you're just like, man, like, are you just messing with me, or is this for real? Because if it's for real, I'll go with it. But if you're messing with me, then I'm gonna be a little skeptical. And so, a couple of things like that have happened recently where I'm just like, all right, God, if this girl, if she's really what I need to be, the one that I need to be investing in, then by all means, I'm down for it. But like, I'm tired of striking out, I guess, maybe. I'm tired of, letting my emotions take over and not really rationalizing and evaluating what's going on. And so, it's got to be a you thing, basically. Otherwise, it's not going to float. And so I'm kind of still stuck in that place now, just like, I don't know exactly what the next step is. Like, maybe we're just going to grab coffee. And also, it's tough, too, because I know that as soon as we do anything, like we get coffee or we hang out, as soon as we do that, because our families are so interconnected, like, it's going to be well known, like, right away. Like, there's no way to just, we just grab coffee because we're friends. It's like, nah, they dating, bro. They're trying to date. So, like, I'm thinking about that, too. But we'll see. I mean, me, man, like, I'm just like, whatever at this point. So that's the update about that. Oh my gosh, dude, there's so much to talk about. So I talked about counseling before. Let me kind of keep that going, because something else that's kind of been, a part of my journey recently has been just going through recovery, man. I've talked about this in like a song before. I think I've mentioned it just in passing, maybe a few times here and there. But one of the things I really struggle with, even to this day, just all the time, has kind of been a constant struggle of mine, is pornography, man. And at the beginning of 2018, some things kind of came up, or I say the end of 2017, some things came up in my life that affected my family. And so my dad was like, yo, man, like, I don't know what you got to do, but something's got to change, man. So that's when I went back into counseling. And on top of that, last fall, I decided to get involved with the recovery group in my church. It was Celebrate Recovery. And so I did that all last fall. And we transitioned into this new program called Regeneration. I have the books everywhere in here. But here's an example of like the book. It's like it's a recovery program that's Christ-centered, and so it, a lot of the people in there, the women, a lot of them deal with like food issues, codependency issues. A lot of the guys deal with like alcoholism, drug abuse, sex addiction, which in most cases is pornography. So yeah, I joined it, because I was like, dude, I gotta take this seriously, man. Like, part of, again, what I said then, like, man, nobody really knows me. Part of the recovery and the growth for me has just been, I gotta be willing to get in people's, get in these circles of people and just bring my full self to the table and really unpack like what's really in me. Otherwise I can't be healed. And so, yeah, so I've been doing that since January. And like it's a 12-step program. And so like, if you're familiar with the 12 steps, it's like, I think believe is the first step, where it's like, admit. You admit that you're powerless to overcome your struggles. 2 is believe. You believe that there's a higher power that can bring you out of your struggle. 3 is trust. You trust that the power can, which, I mean, in our case it's God, but like there's AA that uses the same 12 steps and they don't really refer to God as God. So anyway, yeah, we trust. We trust that Christ can bring us out of this, these destructive patterns of behavior. And then 4 is inventory. We take a moral inventory of ourselves. And yeah, identify idols in our lives. 5 is confess, which we just got done with 5, confession, which was deep. That was rough for me. Confession and repentance were the hard ones for me, because confession, again, we did inventory, which is step 4, which inventory for us, I have the book here too. You literally had to write out like almost every single major sin you've committed in your life. And so I had to make like a record, like, who were the people that were affected? What did I do? Why did I do what I did? What was I valuing? Like, what was ultimately the motivation behind that action? Like, was it pride? Was it selfishness? Was it lust? Was it anger? Was it hurt? Like, it's deep, man. And that was really hard, just being that transparent. And not even the transparency, man. The hardest thing for me was just, and I'm sure everybody has their thing. So, like, that one thing in your life that you don't want to think about, like, for like a set of like 4 weeks, you have to, consciously focus on that one area of your life and write about it in detail. Like, that's not fun, dude. And many times for me, it brought back emotions and memories and thoughts that I was like, dude, I thought I was over this. Like, I don't want to think about this anymore. And yeah, like, if that wasn't hard enough, then it was like, when we had confession, it was like, all right, anyone who feels compelled to confess to the group, what it is on your heart that God wants you to release. And I brought some serious stuff up, man. And I was like, yeah, stuff that like only my parents knew about, brought it before the group. And I was like, guys, this is what I've been dealing with. And I trust you guys here. Like, this is me. Y'all know me. Like, we love each other. This is a place of trust. And so I'm bringing it before you all. And it was the first time I'd opened up about that in front of a group of guys, a group of people, regardless, ever. The only other people that knew about it were my parents and my counselor. So that was deep. And man, talk about peace. That night, I never slept so good in my life, dude. I was so peaceful. Like, I felt like, God, I can just do anything now. Like, call me to anything. I'm capable. I took out the one thing in my life I was the most afraid of, like, being known. I let it out there, and there's been nothing but love and support that's come from it. So I was on cloud 9, dude. So yeah, I did confession. So I confessed that major thing to the group, and then a few weeks later, I confessed to my mentor, who I'm actually meeting tomorrow, which I guess is today. It's like 12:30 now. Dang, it's late. Yeah, I'm meeting with him tomorrow morning around 11. And so, again, just kind of the same type of thing. We're gonna catch up, but yeah, like, so 2 or 3 weeks ago we met up, and I just went through my inventory and just every single category, like the fears, resentments, things I've held against people, bitterness, sexual sin, harms I've done to other people, harms done to me, like every single thing, like in that category, just brought it all before him. And yeah, read it, didn't hide anything. I read every word, didn't embellish, didn't, and just, it was powerful, man. One of the single most powerful experiences of my life, dude. Hands down. And so, yeah, hopefully you're getting a picture of what this past year has been like for me, dude. It's been a lot of growth, which is why it's been hard to make videos like this, is because it's just so much to talk about. But we're kind of caught up now. Oh, I didn't talk about graduation. So I gotta back up, because I got myself caught up to the present, but now I gotta go back to May and talk about graduation, because that was a big deal. And then I'll finish with like work situation and all that jazz, because that's kind of where I want to park. That kind of gets into most of what I want to share. I'm gonna have to talk about passion and all that stuff some other time. I don't have time for that today. We're already going, like, I think we're at like 40 minutes now, so I gotta keep moving. So yeah, graduation. Yeah, so like I said, I graduated with honors, and man, graduation in college was just so, oh man, like, I think cathartic might be the right word, cathartic, just like, it was like, man, I'm a man, like, I don't know, high school graduation didn't feel like that. It was like, okay, on to more school, but college, it's like, yo, I'm a man in the fullest extent. I'm 22, I can drink, like, I have all the rights and abilities of a man. I'm graduating from college. I got a degree. Like, I have my bachelor's degree. I can literally go from here and do whatever I want, basically, Lord willing. And I graduated with honors, so I did what I didn't do in high school, because I was like 0.1 in my GPA away from being an honors student in high school. And so I finally got honors in college. So I was like, yes. Wore the little, I don't even know what you call it, the little strap thing that you put around yourself when you have honors. I think I was like, I forget which one I was. Like, I think maybe magna cum laude, whatever the lowest one is, because I had like a 3.6 or something like that, 3.7, which I don't know how I got that low, because I got like all A's the entire year of my senior year and like the second semester of my junior year. So I don't know how the math worked out on that, but bottom line, yeah, I got enough to get honors. Walked across that stage, man, it was just a rewarding experience. And yeah, man, one of the few black guys like in that graduating class, I was just like, yo, let's go, man, let's do it. And my family came in town. My grandfather was there, my grandmother, both of my parents on my dad's side. Because my grandparents on my mother's side, they didn't even make it to my high school graduation, because they passed away in that year in January. It was 2015. January, almost 5 years now. They passed away, and so they didn't make it to either of my graduations. But the grandparents on my father's side both made it. My aunt made it on both my mom and my dad's side. Yeah, dude, it was just a great time, and we had a meal after that afternoon, where everybody shared like something that they felt compelled to share. It was just a blessing. It was just a rewarding experience. Yeah. And so that was the beginning of May. I'd say from the end of May to really just like the beginning of the middle of August, bro, it's been rough. Like, just cause like the in between, dude. Like, the day after graduation, I was like, yo, I can do whatever. Like, I got freedom, And then I was like, yeah, I can do whatever, but what am I gonna do? And the pressure from my parents, I was like, okay, I gotta find a job, man. I gotta get a job. And so I applied at a bunch of different places, and I had a lot of interviews between June and August. But ultimately, like, I had 3 different things I reached out to do, like 3 different opportunities I reached out for. And 2 of them fell through. And so both of those were kind of disappointments. One of them, like, they didn't even respond with like a, hey, we're not gonna hire you. They were just MIA. And so I had to hit them up, and I was like, hey, are we still on? Like, are we good? Because I was under the impression that we were going to do it, because, I met with both the woman that was over, kind of like the social media presence in the internship program. And then I also met with the director of operations a couple weeks later and had good interviews with both of those people. So I was like, yo, this is going to work, right? I'm going to be there. And it didn't work out. So I was like, dang, like, okay, God, what are you doing? And then, like, the last opportunity that I reached out to, I was like, I didn't hear back from them for a long time. And I didn't know at the time, but they were reaching out to my references. But I was like, God, like, is this going to fall through too? Like, what are you doing, man? Like, what's up? Like, I thought I was following the plan you had for me. Like, I thought these are all kind of ministry-oriented things, like, more or less, they're all for positive, work and art, video, audio content. Like, why are you not letting these doors open? And so the third opportunity, they finally got back to me, like, I think now it's been about a week and a half. They responded, and they were like, yo, like, we reached out to your last reference, and we want to bring you on the team. And so I had, like, the email with all the details of, like, okay, these are the kind of things you can expect. It's a part-time, sporadic kind of schedule, so you may not really have a set weekly pay or weekly hours, but you're paid by the work you do. And so, and then even today, she got back with some, the woman that's over the organization, she got back with some HR documents I need to fill out. And so that's like the most recent thing I'm really working towards, dude, as far as like a paid position. I'm still at Jason's Deli. I got the shirt. We got the updated shirts now. Been there now since 2016, so it'll be 4 years in next June. So it's been about almost a year and a half. I mean, not a year and a half, almost 3.5 years. Lord, golly, it sounds like a long time you say that. But yeah, so I'm still there. Still enjoying it, dude. I've gotten to the point now where I've been around so long, like, there's very little that could, like, tick me off to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm done. So they've been good to me. They helped me provide for college all 3 years that I was at Belmont. So it's a blessing. Other than that, so the organization, they're called Southern Word, and I've been interning with them since the spring. They basically do poetry and literature and, like, spoken word, hip hop production workshops for kids in Metro Nashville schools. So, like, the inner city Nashville schools. And I've just been a fan of what they do ever since I heard about them. Because they do work study programs for kids at Belmont. And I applied to work with them then when I first started at Belmont in 2016. But our paths didn't really cross until this year when I started interning with them in the spring. So yeah, man, I've just loved getting involved with them. I've done a couple different video shoots with them, and now I'm being brought on as an audio production workshop mentor. The most recent thing they've been trying to reach out to me to help out with is possibly this program they're doing with the juvenile detention center in Nashville, where we'd be kind of helping them out with some of the kids that are in the center, learning to produce music and create, and which I think is just brilliant. The fact that they can, like, help these kids channel that energy and pain into, like, a constructive medium. So yeah, man, that was a huge answer to prayer, and I'm just so grateful that God's allowed that to be, the reality, and that's where things are now. So yeah, man. So that's kind of where life is at again, and I left out the big thing that's been recently in development, which is passion. But again, we're like past 40 minutes, maybe past 50. I can't talk about passion tonight, so I got to keep it moving. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try to make another blog to talk about passion more. But I will say a lot of the silence on passion is by design. Like, it's totally intentional, because it's such a loaded project and there's so much in it, so much content, that I'd rather just dedicate, like, a video, like a long form video, to, like, unpacking what all is in it, what all has motivated and inspired it, and when people can expect to hear it. Because I'd say at this point, I can say this with safety, as far as the actual production of the project, like the lyrics, the beats, the stories, and, like, all the different concepts built into it, I'd say it's right around the 85% finished mark. There are only a few things I gotta fill in the gaps with, but it's close, man, and it is without a doubt my best work, man. I'm just so excited to share it. It's been my college project. Like, it's, not everything in it lines up with what I've experienced in college, but a lot of it does, and so it feels like finally I can kind of share where I've been emotionally. But yeah, and I look forward, man. I think it's gonna shake things up. I think people are gonna be really surprised by just the creativity and the innovation on it. So again, I hope to share about it soon. I know I've been saying that a lot for the last few years, but I really do sincerely mean that. The intentional silence is not just to make you guys mad or to take away, hopefully your enjoyment of the project. It's literally just that it's so loaded and it's so big and deep that I gotta give it the time to, like, to fully develop and pay good tribute to it, honor it by, making a good wholesome video to explain, like, what it's all about and what it's hopefully promoting. So again, we'll get there. Time is, it's coming. And there's a lot more too in this blog that I wasn't able to share about. I tried to cover as much as I could, dude, but it's so long as it is. Like, I'll be grateful if anybody actually listens to the whole thing. I'd probably be better off just making podcasts, to be honest, because this is ridiculous. But for whatever it's worth, I hope you guys are excited, for passion. I hope you guys are looking forward to what is coming soon, because there is a lot of good stuff coming soon, and I'm really excited about it. But it's a busy time and there's a lot going on, so yeah, but it's all good stuff, man. I'm grateful for you guys that are still committed, still listening, still watching the videos, still listening to the music, still following the social media posts. Trust me, good stuff is on its way. Please be patient. all the stuff I shared about recovery, just growing, it hasn't been in vain. God's definitely working some things in me, and I just can't wait for you guys to see what he's been doing. So on that note, guys, I hope you've been well. Hope you're doing well. Please comment on the video, anything you feel compelled to share. I look forward to hearing from you guys and just continuing these conversations. So thanks for being a part of all that I've been doing. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the prayers. It means so much. And peace.